church has left the building can never hold the church. Heaven is the ceiling, no limits, cause we all know the worth. Speaking life in every verse and rehearse it across the earth. So they get the message, no second guessing, we put them first.
Word. What up, y'all? What up? What's going on? All right, let me get a few people in here. Being saved is the process. What up?
Why are we seeing a light bulb?
And I was ready. I was sitting there ready.
That's hilarious.
What's good, y'all?
Chilling. Do I sound weird with the
on it? Hey, you got the black joint on it. I see you out here
trying to sell these hoodies.
Listen, I was gonna have my joint on today too, man.
I was.
I need t-shirts. It's hot. We in Philly. You know that.
I'm in LA.
That summer, no, but that LA weather changed.
Nah, it's
that
like
Philly
it's
concrete
like
heat different. That concrete heat different.
Different. What up, y'all? How y'all feeling, man?
Chilling.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Let's get right to it. What up, everybody? Shinin. It's brought to you by Kingdom, the culture, the platform where we shine a light on artists and their influence on the kingdom. It's Kingdom Live, powered by the culture, but grounded in the kingdom. Let's give some shout outs real quick. Shout out to Pastor Z at Spirit Food Christian Center, Los Angeles, California. Pastor Troy and Trina Davis for New Life Kingdom Center in Haverford, PA. Rhythm and Remedy with hip hop helps. And finally, shout out to Dainty Clothing Line, DMG, Defibrillator Music Group, Lemira Design Company, and most recently, we've been highlighting the last 2 times Arta Homage, AOH. Check them out. You know what I'm saying? I'm rocking their hat again. And I also want y'all to make sure y'all check out that Branded Kingdom clothing line. Show them the clothing line right there. See that right there? And if my man Q Flow, if you hear Q Flow and you know what I mean, you stopping in, my man Q Flow was rocking it for his B Festival. He was on stage rocking the Kingdom, the merch, and I shouted him out for it. So good looks, Q Flow, for representing the Kingdom everywhere you go. Listen, man, this is a platform that we use to serve first. Before we do anything else, this platform is to serve. So if you are a business owner and a believer, or a business owner that's motivated in the kingdom or moving the kingdom in any kind of way, make sure you hit us up so we can spotlight you and your business. Before we get started, make sure you are following us at MC Charlie K, at TCoda Music, and at Branded the Kingdom. Did I do that right? Branded.
I gotta come off of mute. Branded the Kingdom. But it's all good. You got Coda's right and you got yours right, but it's all good.
You gotta get your site together.
I gotta get myself together. See that?
Yes.
Hold on. Like, he couldn't wait. He could not wait.
Hey, Cass, write that down on the production notes for later.
Gotta get yourself together, brother.
Gotta get yourself together, man. I got a lot of notes to go over, man. Y'all just be going with the flow. Look. If you a dope artist, or if you know a dope artist, send it our way. You know what I'm saying? Shoot us a DM, tag us. Let us check them out. You know, you might get featured on this platform. My name is MC Charlie K. I'm 130. This amazing fine team you see in front of you. Shout out to my man right there in the bottom right-hand corner. What's good, bro?
I go by TCoda. You know me, I wear the culture on my back. Where we represent the 5 pillars of hip-hop. That's the MC, the B-boy, the DJ, the graph artist. But most importantly, that's the knowledge itself. And we believe when you know who God is, you'll know who you are. So I'm going to pass this mic over to my girl, Niche. Holla at me, Niche. What's up?
What's up, everybody? I'm Manisha, a.k.a. just call me Miss Preach. I represent the kingdom where we got the 3 pillars. We got the Father, God the Father. God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. We carry that cross. We don't even have to carry it because Jesus already did it for us. So we just represent God in our everyday lives. But yeah, we the Kingdom Live, and we just celebrate Jesus in everything we do. And yeah, we nonprofit doing all big things coming soon. So how was your week? Yeah, nothing. Y'all blank? Am I like is it cricket?
You already know how our week is going. You know how our week is going.
I've been waiting.
Y'all some haters. First of all, I love teaching.
And I was like,
so do I. I love it for this reason right here. You know what I'm saying? When I go into recovery mode. You know what I'm saying?
But see, y'all wasn't teaching today. I got these pecan parflein, I don't know, these muffins, okay? Y'all didn't get those. I'm gonna take them out.
I didn't, but I was off, so I went down to Renton Terminal.
Looking like
Look at these things. Look at these things. Look how golden they are. They got a shine on them. They glisten.
They do got a shine on them.
Okay.
But I was able to go down Renton Terminal today.
I didn't want to go here.
Just middle of the day, just go down to Renton Terminal and get some smoked wings.
I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go there.
I took a nap. Oh,
see, that's what I'm talking about.
A nap?
It's just beautiful.
First of all, y'all know y'all be bored.
I'm not bored. I've done enough all year to find something to do with my.
I will never be bored of doing something. Doing nothing is a lot of something.
We'll find out by the time August comes.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm enjoying every moment of this.
Yeah, right now I'm good.
I'm Gucci, as the students say. I'm
Gucci. All right, yo, what's happening in the culture, Coda? Talk to us, man. What's going on in these streets?
Listen, I don't know if y'all watched it or not, but y'all gotta tap into the Martin reunion.
Yo,
listen,
I got fun.
The Martin reunion, classic buffoonery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Classic foolishness. Like, I am in my bag. I've been in my bag all week, just random breakout dances, don't you know no goods, all that. I'm just in my bag. I'm Elroy Presley, all that right now. You know what I'm saying?
I got that Martin reunion, man, and it definitely was a passion. I loved it because of all the characters, all of like the little nuances, skills, and they actually said that part of their goal was to make Martin laugh. If they could make Martin laugh, then they knew that they were doing their job to the utmost and whatnot, getting the crowd to stomp their feet, let them know that they did a really good show and whatnot. Little stuff like that, man. You feel like you start to connect with the characters in different ways and whatnot. So I thought it was really dope, man. And I think Coda, when we was discussing this a little earlier, I think you put it the best way. Like, they caught lightning in the bottle with that. Talk a little bit about that, what you meant by that, Coda.
I just think that Martin was on such a high at the time, with just coming off of Def Jam, coming off his stand-ups. He had just, I think, where his mind was comedically at the time, he just was being free and being who he was. So they just really, like you said, caught lightning in a bottle. Like, I was even... When I was talking to y'all about for those who ain't watched it yet, spoiler alert, you know what I'm saying? Spoiler alert, you know what I'm saying?
Said that before I am.
You know what I'm saying? But when they would talk about when Tommy Davidson and Martin was doing the episode, when they was in a radio station, when he was Varnell Hill, he basically one of the writers told Tommy Davidson to go off script. And to see the back and forth that they had at the radio station and to know that Tommy Davidson was just improvising the whole time, it's like classic, right? Because it's like that scene is classic, right? When he like, so you got a pool? He like, no, I got a lake. And the catfish are delicious. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to know that he was just doing that all off the cuff is like amazing, man. And it was dope. Like, it just took me back to that time period. And to know how much Martin wasn't like he influenced me, like, as a person. Like I got so much of my humor in the way that I move. Like, really, like, you making faces, but I almost 95% of the people that are comedians today got their influences from Martin.
Niche, come on, weigh in.
Come off mute, Niche.
Come off mute, Niche.
When you start being a comedian?
Listen, you must don't know me. You know how to. You
got jokes, but I mean, I'm saying I ain't know.
Listen, I said my comedian. Now you being shady on this joint. You being real shady on this joint.
Right.
Don't give me no hearts and lights up this joint.
All right,
I'm not trying to hear.
Y'all was talking for a minute, so I'm gonna just interject. Like, what was your what was your favorite Martin episode? I'm gonna go first because I know I ain't gonna get around to me for another 20 minutes. But the Joan where they was the New Jack City when he had the dog.
Classic.
Now that one you could catch them like laughing because like who was like, yo, let's not get a real dog. We gonna get this stuff.
So that's what makes it dope, because he wanted a real dog, but the prop dude gave him a fake one and he was able to work it. Like, that's what makes it dope. Yeah, that. So my favorite episode, it's so many, but I want to say the Players Ball.
The Players Ball. What?
When he's singing, I want to get next to you. I get the phone open. Like, that's like one of my favorite Martin scenes, yo. He killed that part, yo. Like, he was singing with Huggy Bear and all that. It was crazy, yo.
Yo, it was one episode where Dragonfly Jones all in the bar. He was losing as usual, and he, in the midst of his little dancing routine, he threw a box and kung fu fighting came on, and he actually beat the ball. Yo, listen.
That was his tooth that he put in the box, bro. That was his tooth. That was his tooth. He put his tooth in the box, bro. He put his tooth in. Bro. Yeah, that's classic, yo.
Dragonfly Jones fan, yo. Just because,
Dragonfly Jones is underrated, bro.
mainly because the cast that was watching him, they all were holding back laughs the entire time. Like Tommy and Cole, like covering up, trying not to lose it on camera, yo. It was good, yo.
So if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, it is a must watch, yo. It brought back so many. I actually started watching the series again from the beginning and realized how many of the dopest Jones was in the first season. Like, I didn't realize how many of the silent. He was like, you gotta pay my light bill. You should be working on your art. You should practice in your art.
Practice on your art, yeah. Listen, Martin is definitely influential, yo. Martin was one of the things that people went home. Like, nobody wanted to be out and about when new Martin was coming on every house. Everybody went home to watch it, talk about it the next day. Definitely influential. Martin was a big part of the culture, huge part of the culture.
Yeah, it's a must watch, y'all. Go check that joint out. It was classic. Like, it was dope.
Absolutely. Niche, you got anything? I'm gonna keep calling on you, Niche.
Well, no, okay. One thing before we get to our special guest for tonight, but y'all remember the episode? See, y'all. To me, dudes don't give the female comedians enough credit. But y'all remember when Biggie came and you had shown
she had the green dress on and she was doing the dances. He was like, I like it. He was like, you gotta have the moves. He was like, you know that's right. And she started doing the dance like she was killing.
Even the concert when they was doing the she was showing Gina Jones or something. Yeah.
They were doing the paddle. She was like a bird. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
Gina had some classic episodes too, because the high school reunion episode, when it was when it was Ricky Fontaine, Ricky with the dog, and she came in with the face, the two faces. That's a classic too.
And for those who didn't see it, here comes a spoiler alert. Martin told her she was nervous to do it, and Martin told her to let go. And on that episode, she let go, and that was a classic episode.
She killed that episode. Listen, the Pam episode when she played Martin.
Oh,
that's a classic.
Quarter loses the bone. Yo, the comment over there, yo. Fred said, if you've been practicing on your art, you know you're dark.
I'm like, listen, Martin got so many classic lines, man. Like, when you start thinking, like I said, like, Dragonfly Jones is slept on. Like, people talk about Shinin, people talk about Jerome, but people don't talk about Dragonfly Jones. People don't talk about Bob for marketing.
Hold it.
Like, Oh, Bob, Otis. Oh, Otis gonna break it down, boy. Go ahead and take the day off in the courtroom. Take your
Oh
damn.
wait, the courtroom episode
Yeah.
when he was barking like
What
a
you talking about,
dog.
with the GTV?
Yeah,
Got the draws? Got the draws episode was classic too.
that was a good one. That was a good one. But we can't talk about Martin all night, y'all.
No, we not, but it is what it is. It is what it is, yo. I just got a text from my guy, so he should be hopping on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely waiting to be in. So let's go ahead and let's.
So hold up. All right, before we move on, right?
Okay.
Y'all saw that. I mean, we still in the current events. Y'all saw that little baby with the church on Sunday for Father's Day. Did y'all see that?
Man, listen, man.
Why did you make that face?
No, okay. I made that face because when we had the production meeting about it, Charlie was like, "I care."
Yeah.
Don't nobody care.
Y'all so disrespectful. My man went and visited Jesus.
No, praise
Y'all don't
God.
do it.
Praise God. He went to church, but like they be like making it like a lot of us do because the little baby with the little baby or the baby.
It was little baby. It was little baby. It was little baby.
Yeah,
It was
they-
one of the babies.
Yo, you are cracking up.
One of the babies went to church.
One of the
babies. One of the babies.
Well, I mean, he did have that song with Kirk Franklin, and that was popping. I like that song. So
That
maybe,
John, yeah, my kids like that song. That was off the Space Jam song.
Yo, he did his thing on that track. But look,
so
man.
maybe a seed was
Yeah,
planted.
he did his thing. Now stop.
Yeah. I was like, you ain't like.
Oh, yeah, he did his thing. We gonna just let that. All right. All right.
See, that's how it be during the production meetings, y'all. They shady.
Look, Coda gave the crazy look away. Yo, you shady. This boy
He killed it, y'all. Stop that, man. That man he did an amazing job.
he made the choice to go to church, man. Look.
It was a dope beat.
Yo, look, it was a dope.
Just Blaze.
Exactly.
Just Blaze was on that joint.
Yeah.
Just Blaze killed that joint.
Right.
Charlie, can we send a request to Will?
Will is
He in?
no, he's in to be invited in. So wait, I see him. Yep, you got a request to join in. So listen.
Oh, all right, yeah.
All right, so look, I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna introduce our guest for the night, but I'm gonna do it a little bit different. Tonight's feature, and I'm purposely reading this. When you see my eyes, dart away, y'all, it's because I'm purposely reading. So I get accolades right. Tonight's feature is very, very special guest. He released a book called The Uncommon Sense: A Strategy Guide to Your Creative Freedom. Cody, you got that book? If you got that book, can you put it up? Yeah, put it up in the camera. Now, I want to read an excerpt that's on the back, and it reads just like this. This book is a game changer. I followed the 10-step system that Will outlines, and I leveled up in under a year. His method taught me how to think like a business, find my audience, create a community, and most importantly, build equity. I've done things for my community through creative entrepreneurship that I never thought I could, and it's all thanks to this book right here. Will has given us a gem. Look, y'all, our guest tonight has been featured on TED Talk. He was named Forbes 30 Under 30 in 2021. He's a published author. He is the CEO of Rec Philly, the gym for creatives. Please, y'all, help me welcome the creative visionary, William Toms, man. Come on in here, Will. Come on in here, Will. Where you at, Will? I invited him in. Let me see. Yep. Oh, there you go. There you go. Gotta give my man his accolades.
Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. I appreciate that intro, King. What's up with y'all?
My God.
Yeah, man. Listen, that intro is just scratching the surface, y'all, of this man. And it's crazy because we give a lot of flowers, but I'm literally just scratching the surface on the work that you have done, brother. And I mean that seriously. One of the thoroughest things that I learned about you very early on, because Coda let me know about all the things that you were doing in the community, because he dove right in, and he's like, yo, you got to meet this guy, man.
Man.
From what he told me, and then I met you, it was a little surreal because you were so humble. Like, for you to have all of the things, all of success that you've been through, you still are on this platform of serving and giving back. You've never gotten to this point where you're like, listen, I'm up here and y'all down there. So I think that really speaks to your character, man. And me as an artist, man, all of us are like in search to better our craft. In this day, better in our brand. Our brand is us. And I always, every time I get the chance to have a conversation with you. But I wanted the viewers today to be able to walk away with some tangible, applicable steps that they can do to invest effectively in themselves. So I want you to, like, if you can, let's start with you giving us a recap of how you started from a young man with this idea and you turned that into being this creative, successful CEO that you are now, man. Drop some jewels on us, brother.
Word. We going
No
straight like that, huh?
No pressure. But no, I want them to tap. I want you to kind of tap into that mindset. How you got from, because even myself, a lot of us creators, like, we get the ideas. We even got the will to write it down and we able to act on it. But how do we turn that creative idea into fuel that keeps on going and, you know, and builds off of each other? Somewhere down the line, a lot of us, 90% of us, you know, we fall to the wayside, whether it be it by life, be it by fear, be it by our own mistakes or accidents. So talk to us, man. How did you go from an idea to where you are now?
No doubt. Word. Well, first, thank y'all for having me, yo. You know, anytime Coda give me the, yo, what's up, slide through, I got to do that, man. That's a real guy right there. Appreciate you, Charlie. And peace to you, Queen. I haven't got a chance to meet you personally yet, but I'm excited to be on here with you as well. But look, man, I think in the beginning, you know, the first part is about really clarifying the vision. You know what I mean? I think I was blessed to be in a situation where I feel like all of my experiences up until the point, you know, of creating Rec just led it to be, it made sense to me in my brain, you know what I mean? And I think that God kind of set it all up in that way, so it come like that. And then I also believe that God's not going to give you a vision that you can't execute, you know? So I think first it was about getting clear on the vision, really understanding, like, what am I after? You know, and you know, my co-founder, Dave Silver, and I, when we started the business, before we started it, we got really clear on who we wanted to serve. You know what I mean? A lot of people build businesses from this place of like, oh, I got this idea, I just want to create it, so I'm going to make it, and then I'm going to go figure out who needs it, right? But I think that's a little backwards. I think we have the opportunity to first be like, yo, who do we want to be valuable to? And for us, that was creatives, you know, and you know, the problem that we saw was there's tons of creative talent, kind of like you said, but the challenge is folks usually have to give it up before they understand how to actually turn it into something that can sustain itself, right? So because that financial thing is real, people say, all right, well, I got to go and do this, I got to go and do that. So once we figured out who we wanted to be valuable to, then it was like, all right, well, let's get the vision pretty clear, and then let's just go ask the right questions, right? I think the second part was understanding like what people actually want. We could sit back and be like, oh yeah, I know what creatives want, what creatives need. But we didn't assume that, you know what I mean? We are creatives ourselves. We solved our own problems first, but then after that, we took the plan and said, hey, what do y'all think, right? And it was really a community effort through focus groups and town halls and all that kind of stuff, where we was asking people like, yo, if you had your dream creative space, what would be in it? What wouldn't be in it? What would that thing look like? What would it feel like? What would it smell like? You know what I mean? And through that feedback process, it was like, all right, cool. So we have a hunch. The people validated it. The most important next step is build the smallest possible version. You know what I mean? Because sometimes our visions are so big that we intimidate ourselves by being like, all right, I got this vision for a multi-million-dollar space, but right now my bank account says I need a vision for a multi-$100 space. You feel me? And we weren't too good to do that. You know what I mean? So as Coda knows, our first space was in North Philly, Ninth and Dolphin. You know what I mean? It was absolutely humble beginnings, but what was right was the feeling. You know what I mean? People came in and they was like, wow, like, and more important than the types of equipment we had, they was like, yo, this is how I want to feel in a place that I'm gonna create, right? And then from there, that let us get more feedback. We could reinvest and grow it. And then fortunately, those kind of steps led us to where we are right now. And then the fourth one I would just throw in there too is you gotta build the team. You know, a lot of times, like, we try to do everything ourselves. We almost take a pride in like, oh yeah, I'm everything from the muscle, just me by myself. But like, I'm the first one to tell you, like, our whole mantra at Rec is independent doesn't mean alone, right? Because we do need each other. And like 9 days out of 10, I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to get the work done. But on that 10th day, if you don't have the right people around you who can affirm you, who can pour into you, who can remind you of your greatness, you won't give up. You know what I mean? Because whatever voices you allow to be close to you, those are the ones that's going to actually predict your future for real, for real. You know what I mean? So those are like some of the steps I think is important. You know, one, clarify the vision. Two, talk to people. You know, that's how you're going to validate it. You know, from there, build the smallest version, right? And learn. And then fourth, you gotta build that team. You know.
Got you, man. Yo, listen, see, from the gate, nuggets.
Already.
Nuggets from.
Come on, man. You know I'm a nerd, bro. I love talking about this stuff.
Listen, man. I'm telling you, man. Look, and that's what I was trying to tell everybody. If you are on in the audience today and you're watching this live, and you have the privilege of being around this wisdom, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a pen and a pad and start taking. Listen, I'm taking notes.
Hey.
Take notes. Take notes as you should.
In the room, when wisdom is in the room, you take what you can get. Like, that's a wise man uses his resources. And right now we have an invaluable resource on live. And trust me, man, like nowadays, what he has to say is very important and it's very relevant. In a world that's driven by social media, numbers, and stats, it is very important from him and from his book is that build around my creativity and not around the thought of getting money or thought of getting a dollar. Let my creativity be in the forefront. And that way, if my creativity is in the forefront, then my brand never dies because my creativity never dies. So, man, listen, man, if you're here, man, get these jewels, man. TCoda, talk to him, man.
What's up, my guy? Welcome to the space, bro. Welcome to the space, bro. It's a blessing to have you in the building, bro. You know you my guy. Since day one, our conversations has been treat the relationship like gold, and I think we both done that in this relationship that we built. So I just appreciate you, you know, coming into the space and just honoring us with your presence. From day one, you saw something in me when I came to the one of y'all talent searches.
Yeah, early on in the window factory.
Early on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I came down and I did that, and you pointed me in the direction of the open mics and everything. And then I came again the day you got the news that you was 30 for 30 and you did my interview for the culture the first time. Remember that?
Yeah, man.
You remember that?
Early in the game.
Yeah, early in the game. So I just like I said, I just wanted to appreciate you giving your flowers, man. I want to tap into this though. You understand what I'm saying? I want to tap into this. You know what I'm saying? And you got to sign this. I came looking for you yesterday. You wasn't down there. You know what I'm saying? But you got to sign this. You know what I'm saying? So I want to tap into the uncommon sense. There's two things I want to tap into that's important to me.
Yeah.
One thing that you taught me early on that I just want you to kind of drop some nuggets of. So the first chapter, you said, who are you, right?
Yep.
And then you said self-awareness, branding, and archetypes, right? So chapter one, I want you to kind of dive into that. Yep. But I think especially for tonight, so it's a two-part question. So I want you to dive into chapter one. But chapter 5, my God.
Hey.
It's your world.
Yes, sir.
Building your digital ecosystem. You sat down with me and Pastor Troy, man, and did a deep dive into that early on the Knife and Dolphin. You know what I'm saying? When y'all had the studio room as your co-working space. You remember that?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
With the whiteboard, and you sat down with me and Pastor Troy and dove deep into what the social media ecosystem was.
Yeah.
So if you can dive into, because you kind of already touched base on it with like how you developed Rec, and knowing who y'all was and knowing who y'all were serving, right, and who your fan base was. So kind of dive into that, but then also dive into how we use these social media platforms, which are so crucial in this time period for what we do as creatives.
Gotcha.
How do we use our ecosystem?
No doubt. Yeah, and shout out Pastor Troy too. You know, that's a good brother right there. Well, look, I'll start with chapter 1, right? And you know, when I was writing the first chapter, you know, it was interesting because a lot of people, I'm sure, expected us to get right into, here's how you monetize, you know, here's how you get the sponsors, here's how you get the bags. But no, the first chapter that I thought it was so important for folks to first sit with this idea of like, before anything else, before even we get into deep entrepreneurship talk, before we get into making money, who are you? You know, because I think the only thing worse than a creative not finding success is finding success for the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be getting out of position, doing things that don't really represent you. And then you put it out online, it blow up. And now all of a sudden you to insert this guy, right? Like, you're the meme guy. So I always start with the self-awareness piece of like, what do you actually want, right? Who are you? What do you actually want? What makes you happy? How do you actually want to show up? What value do you want to give to people? Like, let's start there. Because the strategies that you're going to go through for the rest of the book are all built on building this business around you, right? Like, we literally have the opportunity now to get paid to be ourselves. So if we don't spend the time to figure out who that is, then, you know, that's like building a house with a weak foundation, right? So we start off with, boom, who are you? And I use a couple different tools like archetypes to really help us get to that essence. So I won't go into detail about the archetypes exactly, but what I will say is this: a lot of times when people start doing the self-awareness part, they start building their brand, right? We get so confused on like what actually a brand is. And a lot of us be using that word and don't really get it, right? So I want to first just put out on the table, like, for anybody who's out here building a brand, like, I want to give y'all permission to just stop using that word altogether and let's replace it with what we're really talking about, which is we're building our reputations, right? Because when we talk about building a brand, it's like, yeah, I want people to remember me. I want them to know me as this guy, this and that. And it's like, okay, cool. But let's just do it the way we would do it offline, which is reputation, right? So that reputation is really all about building trust, right, with the people around us. And the same way we build trust and relationships offline is really a similar way we do it online. And that comes from this word that I use all the time, which is consistency, right? And when I say that word, you know, it's coming from a place of like, not are you on social media every single day and you're there every single day consistently? Not that way. Through the lens of like, you got to remember, we communicate so many different ways outside of what we say out of our mouth, right? What we wear, you know, communicates who we are. Who we spend our time around communicates something about who we are. Literally, the tone of voice we use communicates something about who we are. So when I use consistency, it's like, are we communicating the same message through all of those different ways, right? So for example, Coda, if you came to me and was like, yeah, I'm just a down-to-earth brother, you know, I just want to be a man of the people, this and that. But then you're wearing the biggest chain that I've ever seen before with the craziest ice. I'm confused then, right? Because I'm like, all right, well, right. He like me and we should be like this, but I can't afford that chain, right? Like, it is a disconnect. And your fans won't have the language to say it, but they'll just be like, I don't get it. But what they really want to say is, yo, you're giving me way too many different messages and I don't even know who you want me. I don't know who you want to be to me, right? So that's that idea of consistency. And it helps when you just sit, you know, with yourself at first and get clear on how it is you want to show up. What is the best version of you? So that way we could just keep ourselves honest and make sure we're always going to show up that way, right?
That's good, Will, because it's like one of the things you taught me, and it's simple, right? But one of the things you taught me early on is that all my names need to match on social media, right?
Yes.
Make that consistent, right? So It's like, I shouldn't be looking for TCoda __ or TCoda music. You made me like, yo, make sure all your platforms are the same thing. So when they search you, they can find you. It's consistent, right? And then one of the things that you told me in that conversation was like how Rihanna sold herself, right? Like her marketing and her strategy was real consistent on who she was. And when you went to her page, and every aspect of who she was, it showed up in those on her Instagram or on her Twitter or on her Facebook, right? So you taught me to do the same thing. So it was like you said, I'm grounded, I'm a Christian, I'm a hip hop artist, I'm a family man. So all those things are represented every time you see me. And I make that a point, right? To be that person every time you see me.
And then what happens is when you do that so consistently over time, when people start to think about TCoda, they don't have nothing to pull from but who you are. The only thing they can say about you is, my man love the culture, my man love hip hop, my man love God, right? But if you was out here doing all these other different things, depending on what moment I caught you, I might I might know a whole different TCoda than the next person, right? And that's what starts to happen to people, right? It's almost like you build a relationship with somebody and you say, yo, you my man, we play ball together. So just know on the court, that's what we doing. We playing ball. But then the next time you see the boy, he like, oh, I don't really feel like playing ball. Let's go play soccer. It's like, but like you were my basketball partner, right? We was playing 2-on-2. It was great. And it's like, oh, I don't want you to put me in a box. I want you to know I could play every sport. But it's like, but bro, I was looking for a partner for 2-on-2, bro. Now you got it confused. So sometimes as creatives, because we can do everything, right? We could have every emotion. We could create every type of music, every type of art. It's important to just respect ourselves enough to be like, but this is my pocket right now, right? Because people be afraid to get put in a box, but then you got to remind them like, well, when do we normally put things in boxes? When they're precious. When they're ready to be sold, right? Like when you know, and it's like, don't be afraid of the box, especially if you're the one who created it. You know what I mean? Now, if somebody else had a box for you and was like, get in it, that's a whole different thing. But we're talking about building our own brand. So it's like, let's take the time to be consistent, package it up. Most importantly, so people just get it and our message is clear.
I love it, Will. It's so poignant and so easy to digest, right? Because it's simple, right? Like, just really be me, like be who I am. And when I be who I am, it comes through genuine, right? And it's something that people can attach to.
And you'll find your people that way. You know what I mean?
You find your people that way. Like, I had to come to terms with that myself. Just even within the hip hop genre, right? Because I'm so hip hop, but I also know who I am as a man of God. So I had to be comfortable with that shining through with the hip hop that I love, right? So I can gravitate to the audience that's going to fall in love with me, right? It's crazy. I just was having a conversation when we were doing our production meeting, like, I can hear Will, like, you not doing X, Y, and Z. Like, I can hear his voice in my mind, like, yo, you know how to do this. You should have did this already. So it's dope that you just, it's just so layman's terms. Charlie, I saw you was about to jump in before we move on to the next phase of what the ecosystem, because that's deep. Do you have anything? Do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
They say keep going.
I was co-signing everything. I'm over here trying to catch it all while I'm writing it down, man. Y'all
so Will, all right, so dive into how do we use this thing called social media, Will? Like, how do we use this thing? It's so many different ones. You have Twitch, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have TikTok now. You have so many different platforms that we have at our exposure to be who we genuinely are to the people. Once we get who we are, know who we are, how do we then use these tools that we have to disseminate that information to the public?
So look, the first thing I'll start with is, because there's so many different platforms, there's like this real pressure to be everywhere. You know, the first thing is you don't gotta be everywhere. You know what I mean? Especially if you don't really love this social media thing, right? Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna pick 9 of these platforms, you're gonna post one time on every one, and then you're gonna ignore it and you're not gonna use none of them, right? So instead of having a weak presence on a bunch of platforms, go ahead and just figure out, 1, which ones do you enjoy using, and 2, which ones are your people on? And then just stick with those, right? Pick 2, pick 3, and then really be consistent to that platform, right? Because really what has to happen is you got to build trust. And if you got to build trust, you got to show up regularly, right? Like if your favorite show, if Martin was coming on every week and then all of a sudden it just stopped coming on, they didn't say it was the end of the season or nothing, you'd be like, yo, Martin, what happened? I showed up at the time, you wasn't there, right? So we have to be consistent in that, right? Now, to break down which platforms to use, you know, the one thing that I'm going to just call out that I see a lot of people do wrong right away is they're like, all right, I got my 3 or 4. I just got this, you know, new music video, or I got this new commercial I want to drop for people. They'll make that piece of content and then they'll put the exact piece of content on their Instagram. They'll upload the exact same thing to Facebook. They'll upload the exact same thing to Twitter, the exact same thing to YouTube. And that's a missed opportunity. Why? Because these platforms were all built with a very specific purpose in mind. And the people that use them all the time are going there for a very specific experience, right? So here's what I mean. In the book, I break it down in the sense of like, if we was in the real world, right? Because I think everything, as soon as we get on the internet as humans, like we just get weird and we start doing things that we wouldn't do in real life, right?
Right.
I don't know why, but it just happens. But if you think about the platforms like this, and I'll talk about the big four real quick, right? So we're on Instagram right now, right? When you go on any of these platforms, before you post, you should think about two things. Ask yourself, one, what is the value of this platform to me? Why am I even on it, right? And ask yourself that right after this question, which is, what is the experience the people that are going to see this content were hoping to have on this platform, right? So let's break it down real quick. For Instagram, the experience is people want to get on here. They want to see some stuff, right? Especially outside of live, right? Like when they really on the feed, they want to go and scroll a couple times. I might be on Instagram for like 45 seconds. I scrolled 3 times. I saw something cool. I looked at one comment out of the maybe 50 posts that I went through. If I saw something I liked, I'm actually, you know, call somebody else's attention, be like, yo, you see this joint? I might share it, right? That's Instagram. And for real, you can think of Instagram as like the popularity museum, right? Because everybody's there, which is why we're there, right? We don't even introduce ourselves and be like, yo, give me a number. We just be like, yo, you on the gram, right? So that's why we're all there. We can just be honest about that. I call it the museum because the best accounts on Instagram are the ones where as you're looking, you could tell there's some curation here, right? All these posts have something in common. You know what I mean? There's clearly like some sort of like structure to what's happening. It's intentional. And again, it's about the image, right? The caption is just a nice to have. And if the image gets me, then I'll read. That's what we do at the museum, right? Much different experience than Twitter, right? Twitter, yeah, you could put videos and photos on Twitter, but that's not why people use Twitter. People use Twitter, right? It's conversation. They want your short form perspective. Give me your idea in this big of a quote, right? And if I like it, I'm a retweet, and all of a sudden now all my followers can see it. So the value for Twitter for us is that's the fastest place where things can go viral, right? It's actually kind of hard for things to go viral on Instagram in comparison to Twitter. But the experience is not, oh, it's all about the images. So, for example, you got to show people on Instagram. On Twitter, go ahead and get your tweets off and tell them about the music video you're about to drop, right? What was interesting about it? What was challenging about it? Things like that. What you don't want to do is go on Instagram, post to Instagram, and then at the end, you know how it says, oh, you could post this to Twitter? Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because the one thing nobody got on Twitter to do was to go on Twitter to see little Instagram links and then click them. Like, I don't think I've ever done that. You know what I'm saying? And on top of people not wanting to do that, the platforms are not friends. Instagram and Twitter are competitors. So they know that you just posted this tweet from Instagram. So the amount of people they're going to let you reach is like this compared to what you would have got if you actually post on that. Right? So that's how I think it's important to start thinking about these platforms. Like they all have a specific purpose. You know what I mean? And you'll get the most value if you just take an extra minute and say, all right, I know I have this piece of content, but let me make sure I'm customizing it for this platform so it fits into what people want.
Again, man, it makes perfect sense. And what it helped me do was build my brand, right? Because of what or build my reputation. That's what I'm going to say. It helped me build my reputation and be genuine with the audiences that I was pitching to, right?
Yep.
Because it's like, now I know that when I go to YouTube, people are going there for 10 minutes or more.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if I want to post content that people are actually going to sit and digest, I'm going to post it there. I'm not going to post it on Instagram. What I'm going to post on Instagram is something short and sweet that you can get a look at, and that you're like, oh, I actually want to see more of that. All right, well, go to my YouTube.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to put it to you like this. Like, in real life, we don't go to the gym for the same reason that we go to the nightclub. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't go to the grocery store for the same reason we go to church. I hope. You feel me? So we gotta think about that the same way on these platforms. It's like, I don't need to just do the same video on YouTube as I do on Twitter or on Instagram, etc. And then even more specifically, just because you see everybody dancing on TikTok don't mean that when you get on TikTok you gotta dance. That's not a reality. I don't want us to feel pressured by that. You know what I mean?
But it's a place where you can it's a place where you can engage the audience. I think more than anything, right? It's like people are very engaged in TikTok, and they come there to be engaging. But I think it was like very important for you to share that, man, because I don't think people really use these platforms to the best that they can use them to. And we struggle at that because we have them at our disposal, and it's free marketing for real.
Absolutely.
It's free marketing, so we need to really kind of really get hold of what we're doing. Go ahead, Charlie, and then we're going to pass it on to Niche.
Before I pass it over to Niche, I just want to chime in because we got a question from somebody that really appreciate this conversation. You talked about the big four. Could you touch on the other two besides Instagram and Twitter?
Absolutely.
Niche, you can jump right in.
Cool. And I'll make them real quick. So I talked about Instagram, right? That's the popularity museum. I talked about Twitter. That's like the school cafeteria. That's the lunch table combos. Say what you got to say, and before third period, everybody in the school knows what's going on, right? That's Twitter. But then we flip it to the others. Facebook, that's more like the family cookout, right? That's like the family reunion. Facebook is different than all the others for a couple reasons. The first one is the nature of how Facebook started. It was a very personal place. Right? There's people on Facebook that like, I'm going to add you because I know you. We might be related. Like, we're real friends. Whereas on Instagram, there's people that follow me that I've never met a day in my life. Right? So there's a very different environment. So what that means is if you're the type of person who you want to get your 7 paragraphs off about how challenging the last 3 months of your life been, you can go ahead and do that on Facebook. But people not checking for that on Instagram. Right? And again, that's because of the personal touch that Facebook has. The other part about Facebook that is different than every other platform is Facebook has more data about who we are than anybody else in our lives does, right? And that data is important because just like all these other brands use that data to market to us and to sell to us, we have the power to do that too. So I won't go deep into it, but there's a whole thing called a Facebook pixel. You can put it on your website. So anyone who comes to your website after that, you could be able to send them Facebook ads, right? So for example, if you've ever been on the internet trying to buy sneakers, right? You saw the sneakers, you didn't buy them, you go back to Facebook, all of a sudden they're marketing those exact sneakers that you was looking at, right? And most of the time people be like, I guess God just really want me to have these Nikes. No, that was not God telling you to buy the Nikes. That was a business saying, I know who you are and I saw you put them in your cart, so I want you to go ahead and buy it. So we have that power to do that remarketing as well. And then the final one of the big four is YouTube. And you know, y'all kind of alluded to this already. YouTube, the real value of YouTube to us is that's a place where when people go to YouTube, they're ready to commit 5, 10, 30, 60 minutes of time, whereas a lot of the other platforms are real quick. And because people are willing to commit that time, the value of building an audience on YouTube is far greater than a lot of these other platforms. Because if somebody's going to watch, 60 minutes with y'all, if somebody's going to watch a 3-hour podcast on YouTube, the trust is deeper. And when it comes to getting sponsors, that's really what they're buying from us as creators. When they sponsor us, they're buying the trust that we have with our community, and they're inserting themselves into it, right? So that's the real value there. And I think of YouTube as like, that's the movie theater. You know what I'm saying? You end up in there and you could really dig in for hours, whereas some of these other platforms are a shorter experience.
All right, dope. So now it's my turn. Hello.
Let's go.
I'm Anisha, or Preach, whatever you want to call me, Bishop. They call me sometimes. But I watched your TED Talk earlier today. Yeah, I watched it, and because we were going through the things that the different resources that had available for information about who you are, right?
Sure.
And so I looked at the TED Talk, and what resonated with me was the title of it. That's why I was like, oh, I'll check this out. Wait, I wrote it down because it was something about freedom. Why we don't teach freedom.
Yeah, when will we start teaching freedom?
When will we start teaching freedom? And so the reason it resonated with me is because, 1, I'm a teacher. And 2, I have a Bible study every Friday, and it's called Freedom. And the reason, me being a teacher in freedom, I also started a business, a nonprofit, to help young people learn how to develop entrepreneurial skills, but not do it in the way the system of the world has it set up, but doing it according to the principles of God. And so what you were saying was like, oh, this is dope. Like these are a lot of the things that I'm in line with. And so I understood it. And it was, you had, and I'm not, this is not cap, but you're super intelligent. And I mean, like, and your ability to communicate your ideas is like, I can see why you are 30 for 30 and you have a TED Talk and all these other accolades. And I pray that more come, more come to you so they can see that gift of communication that you have. And so one of the things that really stuck out, because my Bible study is called Freedom, and I am really influenced by the life of Harriet Tubman. And one of her quotes, or one of the quotes that is attributed to her, is, she could have freed more slaves if they had knew they were slaves. And so when I think about freedom, and I think about the kids that I desire to serve, and it's like, I know as an adult what's out there. I know what's ahead. I know what's coming, but you don't. And so I'm trying to show you this path towards freedom. And so I have a two-part question. One, how do you, as an entrepreneur, that understands the freedom, you sleeping in the warehouse because you knew, like, you wanted to put yourself in a certain position so you wouldn't be tied to employment, because right now I run a nonprofit and I'm a full-time teacher, so I get that. I totally understand. But you have an understanding of what freedom is and what it takes. How do you communicate that to somebody that doesn't know they're not free? Second part of my question is, how do you develop a community? Like, if we're speaking to our target audience, not if, but we're speaking to our target audience.
Yep.
How do we do that? And the patience that comes with that. So I guess that's three questions. One, the freedom, the freedom. How do you help somebody that, like artists or creatives, that don't understand really they're not free? How do you get them to see? And then the other part is, how do you develop the community?
Yeah. All beautiful questions. All beautiful questions. Thank you for that. So, all right. So the first piece, that's the doozy, right? How do you help somebody who don't even know, how crazy it is out here, right? It's hard, but, fortunately, I think, specifically to the creative space, right? When we talk about the importance of ownership and equity, like, I don't got to make nothing up. Like, there's literally songs that our parents came up on that literally changed memories forever, right? Songs that we was listening to at the cookouts and getting married to, and the creators of those songs died broke. You know what I mean? Their families couldn't even bury them, right? Like the idea of like a TLC, right, had waterfalls on the radio, had hit records, they was going platinum, but they had to file bankruptcy, right? So like this idea of like creatives not getting their just due financially is not new. So for me, it's easy to kind of just share those stories and say, hey, like, where do you see yourself? You know what I mean? What kind of career do you want for yourself? Do you want to be able to make decisions based off of, do you want to put out 3 more albums or not? Right? Like it's really freedom in the lens of, I think most of us as creatives, we really just want like agency. Like we really want to be able to do what we want to do. And unfortunately in this country, you got to have a little bit of wealth to be able to do that. Right. So I like to just show people that like, yo, here's the horror stories, but also here's what's possible. Right. When I was growing up, there were, people who loved to play Call of Duty. I had a best friend. He used to love to play Call of Duty all day, every day. But I would make fun of him because I'm like, bro, you're not even doing nothing with that. Like, why are you sitting here investing all these hours to this game? But today, there's people making 6 figures playing Call of Duty. Today, there's people making 6 figures. They don't even play. They just commentate on other people playing the game, right? So it's like when you hold that up as an example of like, look at this person loving what they do, getting paid 6 figures to do it, and you think as talented as you are, you can't. Come on, yo, there's a disconnect. Because I think the people who ignore like the reasons why creators should make money now, sometimes it's way too overwhelming for us to try to figure it out. So we'd rather just not try. So I love to try to break things down and just make it plain, right? So that's a little bit of how I think about it for the creative realm. For anyone else outside of the creative realm, I love to just take the approach of like, I'm not even going to tell y'all what to do or what you should do. I'm just going to be an example. And hopefully at some point you're going to be like, wait, but how you keep doing that? And then once you lean in, then I'll give you some of the game. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the approach. especially with younger people and especially with creatives that I've seen successful.
Did you see me lean in?
I see you. I see you. So that was kind of the first part. What was the second part of your question? I think you asked about, no, remind me. I don't want to.
How do you build the community? And to also talk about the patience that is required in that, because I think a lot of times when you're starting a business, you're expecting these results right away, and it takes time to curate that community and that trust, right? So that's my last question.
So I'm gonna start with the last question and then come back to the other one. The funny thing is when we first built Rec, right? When we were still in the warehouse, when we still just idea phase, we was having the town halls, telling people, yo, we gonna build this creative space and it's gonna be dope. Everybody's gonna be able to tap in and get access when they want it. We could share studios. People told us we was crazy. People told us it wasn't gonna work. People was like, what do you mean someone's gonna use the same studio I'm using? Then they gonna know what mic I use. And I'm like, so what? Like, what do you mean? They're like, nah, it's not gonna work. People not gonna wanna share. People not gonna do this. People not gonna do that. It can't be done. And that was cool. But then even worse than that, people who didn't understand the model wanted to just throw shade. And because they didn't understand it, they wanted to assume we was trying to get over this and that. And there was something like so hurtful about like you spending time going hard in service of your people, right? And them looking at you like you the one trying to run a game. And I'm just like, yo, come on, we could all be better. So there was a long process of having the patience of saying, yo, they don't understand it, but they will. But I know that this is something I'm on a path I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I think ultimately the way we built the community was through that consistency, just kept showing up. This is what we gonna do, right? There's still some people who probably like, nah, that ain't gonna work. And they wonder, dang, how's it been 8 years? They still at it. They still growing, right? It's working, right? But the real community piece for us was, you know, and I'll say it this way. One of the things I'm most proud of is the community that we built at Rec. Like if you ever step into Rec, like the people in the space, we look like Philadelphia looks, you know what I'm saying? In a real way, from the diversity, like from age to creed, everything, right? And I think that's because my co-founder and I, Dave, like we are those people who come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different cultures, but there's a real genuine love and respect for each other and our differences. And I think we modeled that in the beginning and matched that with like the professionalism of, yo, we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And over time, people wanted to be around that energy. And that's what attracted our team. A lot of our team members that are with us today who are, you know, senior people in the org, literally started as volunteers, some of them 6 and 7 years ago, which is crazy to me. You know what I mean? And the energy of like them being there all passionate and bought into the mission, that attracted, you know, more creatives, right? Because we are creatives. And then once folks started coming and they was like, yo, the energy here is what it is, you know, that word spread really quickly. So it was really just a, you know, start doing it. Keep the persistence, ignore, you know, some of the negativity. And if you do that long enough and you do what you say you're going to do, people will trust it and want to come as well. Can
I jump in, Niche? Are you finished, Niche?
No, you can't jump in. It's like,
oh,
wait, let me just one more question. How much is your consultations? Because after this, I know people probably gonna try to hit you up. I want to be first. Because my business for me is more pertinent than everybody else's. So yeah, I'm gonna be sending you an email right after this.
As you should.
Right after this. And this is the last thing, and then I'll let Coda and Charlie Hattis. The Kingdom Live gives everybody a hoodie that blesses us with their presence on this. On this. Yeah. So this is just one of them. But I'm gonna send you an email. You check it out, and I'm gonna send you an email with the consultation information too. So just look all of that. Hey, your sister, look at all of that, and hit us back. It was my pleasure, our pleasure, hearing from you and hearing you talk and dropping this information. I really appreciate it, and I let the fellas have it.
You got. So I'm gonna look out for your message too.
I'm gonna jump in and do what we do on Kingdom Live. It wouldn't be Kingdom Live if we wouldn't do it like we do it. What I appreciate about you, Will, is that I know where you come from. I met your peoples. I met your family, right? Yeah. So I know the foundation that you're built on, right? Mm-hmm. The concept of Rec to me is so Christ-like, right? Because it's so not about you and about everybody else, right? So it was like, it was so sacrificial for you to take the time to go into those moments where you were living that Knife and Dolphin and really putting the grind in, to see the vision, to know what God told you and what the vision was, where nobody else probably seen it, right? Like you talked about them hard times, and you talked about those times where even people was like, he's doing this to our detriment, right? We're almost that Pharisaic mindset of like, this is how it's done, but this is how it's going to be done. And they don't have the vision or the foresight to see it, but you did, and you stay true to it. When I think about the rec community, that's what I think about for you.
Wow.
I think about your mindset of being the sacrificial lamb, of for people not understanding what it was to be free as an entrepreneur or as a creative, and you bearing the load to help us get that, right? Like you see, the Bible says we know how to be a base and we know how to abound, right? So you took the moment to get low, right? And to allow God to use you to build something that other people can use, right? And then that ultimately shined the light on who Will was, for people to be like, oh, he's genius. Let me pour into him, right? So I want you to continue to do that. I'm getting a wrap it up signal from the person. From the person. But I wanted to encourage you, bro. Like, keep it up, man, because like I said, I know you, and we've had those dialogues. So continue to allow God to use you, bro, because it's showing, right? I've gained a wealth of knowledge from you. I know the people tonight have gained a wealth of knowledge from you. So I appreciate you for coming on. Charlie, you already know what you do. You can close this out. I'm done. Your flowers have been given, Will. I'm coming out. You got to sign my book. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Say that.
Tap in.
Yo.
Tap in. Everything that you learned tonight, that you heard tonight, that you were jotting down,
Yes,
it's in the book.
Look,
it's in the book.
And for folks who want it, they can go grab it right now. It's at shop.recphilly.com. It's there. The information, I really, really, really believe it's going to serve you on your journey. So please tap in. Go get it. And, yeah, we're going to be on Amazon soon. But right now, go to shop.recphilly.com. You know, we're going to go direct to consumer. I appreciate y'all.
Any other way that fans and people that want to get with you to learn how to, you know, tap into all this wisdom that you were dropping tonight, how can they get in touch with you? How can they reach out and be a part of what you're doing here?
Yeah, so the first one is go ahead and follow me, you know what I mean, stay in tune. I'm sharing content often. You know, second, make sure you follow Rec Philly, RAC Philly. If you are in the region of Philadelphia, anywhere close, Philly, Jersey, Delaware, New York, you know, I want you to come in and take a free tour. You know, it's one thing to hear about what we're doing, our space, our community, the education, but it's another thing to experience it, you know. So I really challenge people to just pull up, you know, and see for yourself. And, you know, if you're not a creative, but you just love what we're talking about and you want to support and spread the movement, I challenge you to sponsor a creative. You know what I mean? Grab a membership for somebody else, pay that forward, and I promise you, you won't regret that. You know what I mean? Build a meaningful relationship with a creative. Because I think too often we wait till people are already up to support. So this would be an amazing way to support an artist that you know and love. And then finally, if you're like, I think, Preach, you out on the West Coast, if you're not in Philly and you like, man, but I want this model to be in the city where I'm at, just hold on, because we coming, you know. And I won't say too much, but the expansion plans are underway. We got a couple other rec cities in development right now. So tap in with me. Let me know where you at, where we should be.
Let's go. I love it.
The Valley in LA. In
okay.
I love it.
He said.
Listen, I was in those focus groups, bro. I know what it's like. I was in them focus groups.
If they don't know what's going on, man, if y'all didn't get,
I was in them focus groups.
Got so much out of this tonight, man. I was writing down notes. I got index cards upon index cards. Listen, man, we've been blessed to be side by side with this man on different platforms and different avenues, but we are still in the learning mode when he starts to drop those jewels. We are never too old or too proud to get that knowledge. And then I'm gonna encourage everybody on here, man, you know, like to open up your mind and open up your heart to what he was dropping today. And I'm gonna be getting with you myself, man. Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta play one more thing.
Plug it in.
Hold on. that Live at Rec Step Brothers episode is on YouTube right now too, though. Because y'all brothers came through and did what y'all do. And
Yes,
so there's a series that we do at Rec where we just love to shine light on our talented members. It's kind of like a tiny desk if you like those live performances. And y'all just blew me away. I already knew what y'all did, and I still was like, yo, what is happening? So if y'all want to check that out, it's on YouTube right now. Just go search Live at Rec Step Brothers so you can hear these two amazing MCs do what they do.
Got you. I got people on here that's giving you your flowers, and that they're glad that they were able to catch some of these jewels. Troy, Lorenz said, I'm glad I caught the tail end of this. Will, as always, you are genuine, necessary, being you. Catch the recap of this. So we're going to sit down with you and figure out how can we take this podcast that we got.
Let's go.
So the next time y'all see us blow up, y'all going to know that we followed the will. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to get my $1 million worth of game. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
Let's go, man. So listen, man, this is the Shinin'. This is the Shinin' where we shine a light on artists and influencers and creatives that are shining a light on the kingdom. We were blessed today to have my man Will. Shout out to you, Will. Everything that you're doing, keep being in a position of service. It is absolutely serving you well, brother, and we appreciate everything you're doing for the community. And as always, man, yes, sir, we keep God first. And for everybody else, if you wasn't here, recap and rewatch this and get your pen and paper and get your jewelry.
Yeah.